Welcome back to Behind Closed Files, where we delve into the most chilling and baffling cases. If you love to read, please visit www.behindclosedfiles.com. The murder of Sabina Nessa. On the evening of September 17, 2021, Sabina Nessa, a 28-year-old school teacher, set out for what should have been a routine walk through Cator Park in Kidbrooke, southeast London. Sabina worked as a Year 1 teacher at Rushy Green Primary School in Catford, and she was highly regarded by her students and colleagues for her dedication to education. That evening, Sabina was on her way to meet a friend at the Depot Bar, just a short walk from her home. Due to running a bit late, she decided to take a shortcut through the park, unaware that this decision would soon lead to tragedy. Sabina's walk through Cator Park was not unusual. It was a public space familiar to the local community. However, on that night, a predator lurked in the shadows. Koci Selamaj, a 36-year-old garage worker from Eastbourne, had driven to London that evening with sinister intentions. He had no known connection to the area, but was intent on committing a violent crime. Earlier in the day, Selamaj checked into a hotel in Eastbourne, a decision that raised suspicions among hotel staff. They reported his erratic behavior to the police, but no immediate action was taken. Selamaj's dark past included domestic abuse, with his ex-wife recounting incidents where he had physically assaulted her. Most importantly, Selamaj had spent the hours leading up to the murder driving aimlessly and prowling around Brighton, potentially searching for a victim. It was not until he arrived in Kidbrooke, a place he had never visited before, that he found his target. Surveillance footage later revealed that Selamaj had been loitering in Cator Park for approximately 20 minutes before Sabina happened to cross his path. As Sabina walked past him, Selamaj quickly turned and launched his attack. Armed with a metal warning triangle, taken from his car, he struck Sabina on the head multiple times. She attempted to defend herself, but Selamaj overpowered her, bludgeoning her around 34 times. After rendering her unconscious, he dragged her out of view and into the undergrowth. Her body was later found concealed beneath grass, a tragic end to what should have been a simple walk to meet a friend. After the attack, Selamaj made efforts to cover his tracks. He wiped down the park bench where the attack began and disposed of the warning triangle in a nearby river. Despite these attempts to conceal his crime, police were able to trace him through CCTV footage and other investigative techniques. Sabina Nessa's body was found by a dog walker the day after her murder, partially hidden in the park's undergrowth. The discovery shocked the local community, and it became apparent that a violent crime had occurred. Police launched a murder investigation, scouring the area for evidence and reaching out to the public for any leads. Initially, investigators were left with few clues. However, surveillance footage from around Cator Park proved to be instrumental in solving the case. The footage showed a man walking through the park with his hood up and turning back to follow Sabina. This chilling video offered a critical lead for the police, helping them to narrow down their search for the attacker. As the investigation progressed, detectives managed to piece together Selamaj's movements using CCTV footage from nearby streets and public spaces. In addition to the park footage, cameras on nearby roads captured Selamaj's vehicle registration number, leading authorities to trace the car back to his address in Eastbourne. The link was clear. Koci Selamaj had driven from his home to the site of the murder with premeditation. Detectives also found evidence that Selamaj had visited a Sainsbury's supermarket in the area on the night of the murder. He purchased a rolling pin, presumably intended for use in the attack, but later opted to use the metal warning triangle from his car instead. This detail highlighted his cold, calculated intent to commit violence that night. It became clear that Sabina Nessa was simply an unfortunate victim who crossed his path at the wrong moment. After collecting sufficient evidence, police arrested Koci Selamaj at his home in Eastbourne about a week after the murder. During his questioning, Selamaj remained silent and offered no explanation for his actions. His behavior, both before and after the murder, displayed an alarming lack of emotion or remorse. Despite his heinous crime, Selamaj tried to carry on with his daily life as if nothing had happened. He returned to work at the garage the day after the murder, further highlighting his detachment from the gravity of his actions. As the investigation continued, more troubling details emerged about Selamaj's past. His estranged wife revealed a history of domestic abuse, including violent incidents where Selamaj had strangled her, mirroring the method he used to kill Sabina Nessa. This history of abuse provided further insight into the mind of a man who had harbored violent tendencies for years. Koci Selamaj trial began in early 2022, following his arrest for the murder of Sabina Nessa. In the courtroom, the prosecution laid out the harrowing details of the case, emphasizing the premeditated nature of the attack. Selamaj had driven over 50 miles from Eastbourne to Kidbrooke with the intention of finding a victim. The prosecutor described his actions as those of a violent, predatory individual, hunting for an opportunity to carry out a brutal attack. During the trial, it was revealed that Selamaj's decision to attack Sabina was entirely random. He did not know her and had no personal motive. His behavior suggested a deeply disturbing urge for violence. The defense offered no substantial argument, and Selamaj himself remained silent throughout the proceedings, refusing to give any explanation for his crime. His cold and indifferent demeanor shocked those present in court. In February 2022, after hearing all the evidence, the judge sentenced Koci Selamaj to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 36 years before being eligible for parole. The judge condemned Selamaj's actions as absolutely appalling, highlighting the random and senseless nature of the crime. The sentence reflected the sheer brutality of the attack and the fear it instilled in the community. Selamaj's refusal to show remorse during the trial, combined with his violent history, made it clear that he posed a significant risk to society. The court noted that Sabina Nessa's murder had deeply affected her family, friends, and the wider community, who were left mourning the loss of a beloved teacher. Sabina Nessa's murder reignited the national conversation about women's safety in public spaces. It came just months after the highly publicized murder of Sarah Everard, another case that involved a woman being attacked by a stranger. Vigils were held across the UK, with hundreds gathering to remember Sabina and to call for action to prevent such tragedies in the future. Sabina's family expressed their devastation at her loss, but they also became advocates for improving public safety. Her death served as a reminder of the dangers women still face while simply going about their daily lives. The community continues to honor her memory, with schools and local organizations holding events in her name to raise awareness about violence against women.